Hello, welcome to Chess with Simon. I'm Simon. On the way home on the train today, I saw a beautiful King's Indian defence tweeted out by a chap called David Bennett, who's a chess coach, and then Max Lange, who's a long-term friend of the channel, and cleomina, who I also follow, said nice things about it. So I looked into this and I said, right, I'm going to stalk this. I'm going to stalk this person, find out who they are. I'm going to look at the game. So this game was played on Live Chess by Ali Mortazavi. It's a 3-minute blitz game. Actually, Ali wrote a tweet underneath as well. So we'd love to hear from you, Ali, and hear what you think of this analysis. It's a 3-minute blitz game. 3-minute blitz game. It's absolutely a beautiful game, played in 2019. We're going to analyse it with engines, but we're going to remember that this was played very quickly by humans. So we're looking at it from the black side, from the Ali side. So it starts as an English, but it quickly becomes a King's Indian. H3, which I think in certain lines stops Black playing the kind of standard E5 attack, although Black finds a way to do this. D6, Bishop E3. E5 from Black. White locks the centre with D5. Black plays C6 with a view to opening the C file at some point in the future. You can also play A5 here. One of the engine moves is A5, which helps Black to establish a knight on C5, and B can stop or slow down White's queenside initiative. Black plays C6, which is a decent move. Knight F3, Knight A6 from Black again. This is a pretty standard move. I suppose you can't play Knight BD7, can you? Because White's taking on C6 and winning the D pawn. Bishop E2. Knight C5 attacks the E pawn, so White defends it, and then Black now opens the C file and plays A6. Now you could have played A5 here to stop White playing B4. Black plays A6, White plays B4. So this is White's getting some initiative now on the queen side, but Black soon makes up for that. White castles, and then Black says, right, we're going to get going on the king side. Knight E8, getting out of the way the F pawn. Knight B3 is a good move from White, moving over to queenside attack. F5 from Black, and then F3 from White. Now, as a guideline, I think, generally, the advice is that White should wait to play F3 until Black has played Knight F6 and attack that E pawn twice. Now, it doesn't matter, I think, on this occasion, because I think it's transposing. But it's a bit, because of course when you play F3 it's blocking in the bishop on E2. Also, one does sense that the dark squares around White's king are pretty weak, because you've got F3 and H3 both been played. Black moves the knight through. G4 from White. Now this is a decent move. It's odd, isn't it, because we're taught in chess not to move the pawns in front of the king, but on this occasion, in this sort of King's Indian position, it can be a good prophylactic move because it creates space. It stops the White king getting crushed by the Black pawns, and it can also relieve tension. Black's having none of this. Black just says, right, I'm going to play H5, we're going to open everything up. White tries to close the position, the knight runs back, and then H4 defends the pawn on G5. Now, Black plays F4, pushing back the dark square bishop. Now, guess what Black plays next? Feel free to pause the video or just have a think. But what do you think would be a good move for Black? So the engine likes this. We all like this. Knight takes G5, Queen takes check. Now, all of a sudden, so Black's given up a piece for 2 pawns, but those pawns are rolling towards the White king, and it's quite hard for the White king to escape. So Black brings a knight in to the attack. White pushes the queen away. It's a good move. The queen can't go to H4 because the bishop's covering it, so the queen backs off. And now the bishop goes to H4, stopping G5 and also attacking the knight on F6. The knight retreats, so it can't get exchanged, and also renewing the threat of G5. The engine wants to go knight A4 here, but White, again we remember this is a blitz game, super blitz game, goes bishop E7, forking the rook and that sensitive D6 pawn. Kasparov said the motive in the King's Indian is forward, and Black stays true to this motive. Actually, the engine wants to go rook F7. But Black plays G5 and says, I'm just going to get on with it. And actually, I've got enough attacking pieces. The bishop on C8, the queen, the knight, the pawns are all powerful attacking pieces. So if he wants to exchange the rook on f8, so be it. White plays knight a4, getting on with the queenside initiative. Black plays g4. So white's forked the rook and the bishop. g3 check from black. Knight g5. Now, the engine wants to take on a8 here. I mean, you've got to be brave to do that. But, you know, strictly speaking, you get away with it because h3, and then the rook comes here, which gives white an escape through g1 and f1. But, yeah, you'd need nerves of steel to do that. Actually, what white does, rook h1 to try to impede the black attack, and then swaps up the bishop on c8, which makes a lot of sense because the rook on a8 was not participating in the attack, but the bishop was. So you can really see why white did that. Black's able to play the check, king g1, another check from black, and these pawns are moving forward the whole time. King makes the only legal move. I mean, okay, the rook could have taken the pawn, but basically the only legal move. And now black picks up the rook on c8. I mean, this is a beautiful game full of amazing tactics. As a matter of fact, there were more beautiful tactics. You could have played g2. And if the king takes, it's mating this way. The knight, and then if the queen tries to stop the mate on f2, there's a mate here. You can sack the queen, get a new queen, and it's mate. But it's asking a great deal to see that in a 3-minute blitz game. Black plays another good move. Takes on c8. King starts to run. Black says, right, I'm going to start queening some pawns here. King keeps on running, trying to get to safety, but black's not going to allow that. So take on e4 is check. When white takes back, there's another check here from the queen in h6, and that pawn marches on. The king can't cross the c file, and now the pawn goes to f2, which I think is a beautiful reference to Macdonald Le Bourdonnais, played in 1834, which was the Sicilian defence, where again black established these 3 pawns on the 7th rank, all connected, and you can't help thinking, I mean, what material has black sacrificed here? So black's given up a minor piece and a rook, but at least one of those pawns is going to queen. The rook on h1 is in a bit of a difficult spot, you know. Bishop g4 from white. I think the rationale is to liquidate the rook on c8 and allow the king to try to run. So black queens the first pawn. Check from white. I think maybe just trying to create some counterplay. Maybe trying to stop black queening on f1. But the black king runs, and white's taken this rook. So now at least the white king has what looks like a way out. Then queen f4. Again, it's a really good move. Maybe creating pressure to try to queen that pawn on f1, because now f1 is covered by both black queens. White doesn't want to exchange. And actually now with queen h3, you know, white does have queen e6 check, queen d7 check. You know, white has threats. So black gives a check with the g queen, not the f queen, on g3, because we've got 2 queens on the board. We've got to say which queen. Gives a check on g3, and so exchanges off that queen and stops the counterplay. The king now decides, right, we don't want black to queen another pawn, but unfortunately black's got another idea. So although white puts the rook in front to stop the pawn queening, black's got this checkmating idea. Check here, the knight can go in the way, but then it's mate. So what a wonderful game by Ali. Thank you so much for creating this work of art. Thanks to Dave for tweeting it out, and to Max Langerman for drawing it to my attention. And if you've enjoyed this, please hit like, and if you want to see more in the future, if you hit subscribe and the notification bell, we will send you more. Hope everyone's well, and I'll see you soon.